This is Monkey World in Dorset, the largest ape and monkey rescue centre on the planet. Today on Monkey Life, there's a morning sing-off at the park. Golden-cheeked Gibbon Zoe introduces a very rare new addition to her family.
If you can just see Zoe sitting in there very quietly with a very small blonde lump clinging onto her belly. She's had a little baby and we're just over the moon.
And, following a fight amongst the female Capuchins, Phoebe needs surgery.
It's just part of the process of them knowing how to interact with each other, establishing the hierarchy, and yeah, unfortunately, it happens.
It's morning at Monkey World, and most of the 246 residents are just waking up. This is the time when the first of the park's primates start to communicate with one another. And the gibbons start to sing. There are 5 different species of gibbon living here, and every morning they start the day by singing to claim their territory. High up in the tree canopy are sireman gibbons Sam, Sage, and their son, Onion. Sireman gibbons have a throat sac, which they can inflate to about the size of their head. This sac makes their calls so loud they can carry for over a mile. And it's certainly loud enough to wake some of the sleepier inhabitants of the park. These early morning sing-alongs reinforce the bond between mum and dad, and tells other groups of gibbons how many there are in the family, the sexes and ages. But here at the park, their message is simple. This is our territory, keep out. And at this volume, this early in the morning, it looks like the rest of the primates are getting the message. But over in the Gibbon house, golden-cheeked gibbons Jake and Zoe have another reason to shout. Early this morning, Zoe gave birth.
I got a phone call from Jeremy saying, "You better come in, Wendy. She's had it." And I said, "Sorry?" Zoe. So up in the basket, if you can just see Zoe sitting in there very quietly, very calmly and very tired with a very small blonde lump clinging onto her belly. She's had a little baby and we're just over the moon.
In the wild, golden-cheeked gibbons are now classified as endangered. And with gibbon births incredibly rare in captivity, this is a real success for the park and the species.
This is our second birth here. We don't mind if it's a boy or a girl or whatever. It's a golden-cheeked baby gibbon, and it's another life, and it's wonderful.
But while the baby is holding on tightly to mum, it'll be some time before the care staff will be able to see if it's a boy or a girl.
Actually very difficult for us at any early stage to get a good enough look to see whether it's male or female. So that will come with time, which of course means the name will come with time as well. You can't name it Bob and turn out to be a girl.
Although Wendy is keen to find out the sex of the baby, what's more crucial is whether Zoe will accept it and bring it up herself. Zoe was poached from her own mother and family in the wild and knows very little about parenting.
The most important thing that we need to know is that Zoe's actually looking after her baby. I'd like her to be more attentive. You know, if he starts to sort of lean backwards, I'd like to see that hand come in quicker. But she's getting there, so that's a good thing. But also I want to see the baby suckle. That's the most important thing of all, is see that baby latched onto the nipple and the little cheek sucking away. But more important than that, we need to see a swallow action, so we know that milk's going into little one.
Wendy will have to watch and wait to see if she needs to step in and help Zoe bring up this valuable new addition to the park. Coming up, the chimps show that no matter what time it is, they've always got something to say.
Even though the chimpanzee's primary sense is vision, they do rely upon vocal communication quite a bit. Can tell sort of what's going on from a distance.
And Phoebe's undergoing surgery following a Capuchin fight.
The wound looks fairly deep. It's a bite wound, and bite wounds are always contaminated and likely to cause infection.
The gibbons might start off being the loudest primates in the park, but by mid-morning, it's the chimps who make the most noise. And every sound they make has a meaning. From excitement to fear and every emotion in between. They just never seem to stop talking.
With the chimpanzees, they do have a language of their own. They do rely upon vocal communication quite a bit. You can hear whether people are upset and throwing tantrums. We can tell if actually there's something alarming in the enclosure and we need to go have a look. You can also tell if there's a full-on punch up and fight and something's going down because the intent of the voice. You can tell sort of what's going on from a distance. That's not the case with all of our primates here.
Over on the other side of the park, even though it's snack time and the orangs are always excited about food, you'd never know it because they just don't vocalize their enthusiasm.
The orangutans, even though they are great apes and are meant to be sort of more similar to humans and chimpanzees than other species of primate, the orangutans, their communication is just completely different. In fact, they're almost silent. In the wild, they're semi-solitary. There isn't this complex sort of interaction and group sort of dynamics going on with the orangutan, so there's really no need to communicate like that.
In the wild, when male orangs do vocalize, it's known as a long call. And there are only 2 occasions when this happens.
He can use the throat sac and inflate it, almost like the Siamang gibbons, and then project this long call, letting other males know that that's their territory, and also alerting the females that the male's in town.
But here at the park, males Tuan and Gordon don't use this call because they live separately. And they don't need to call for females because they've got them right beside them. So there's really no point in making a lot of noise, or any noise at all, really.
Day to day, orangutans really don't communicate a whole lot, and there isn't a lot going on there. It's probably more eye lifts and facial expressions. But the chimpanzees were loud and out there and talking all of the time.
Over with the Capuchin boys, and the latest recruit, Caesar, is enjoying his new home. He's settling in perfectly. A few weeks ago, Alison and Jeremy rehomed Caesar and female Phoebe from a home in Hertfordshire. Caesar's made new friends in his group, and today he's hanging out with Felipe. But Phoebe's move hasn't gone as smoothly. This morning, she suffered a nasty bite wound to her leg. And park vet Femke has had to put her under anaesthetic to assess the damage. It's a large wound and needs immediate treatment.
We'll check her whole body to see if she's got any other wounds, and also check her body condition, her heart, her lungs, give her a general health check.
With 94 Capuchins living together at Monkey World, there are bound to be character clashes, and fights are inevitable. Phoebe's injury is probably a result of her struggling to find her place in the group. Bite wounds can penetrate tendons and muscles, and there's a risk of infection which could result in serious complications for Phoebe.
The wound looks fairly deep, but as far as I can see right now, she hasn't damaged any tendons, only some muscle damage and the skin, obviously. But yeah, there will be some scarring in the muscle. It's part of the process of them knowing how to interact with each other, establishing the hierarchy, and yeah, unfortunately, it happens. But we do what we can to prevent it and to heal them as good as we can. Probably an incisive.
To ensure the wound heals as quickly as possible, Femke sets about carefully cleaning the cut. And Jeremy gives her an antibiotic jab to prevent further infection.
Because it's a bite wound, and bite wounds are always contaminated and likely to cause infection, so they'll need some antibiotics to help their immune system to get over them.
But the team has to work quickly. Keeping small monkeys under anaesthetic for long periods of time can be dangerous. So Femke gets straight down to stitching up the wound. In Monkey World's vet room, Capuchin Phoebe has been in surgery for over an hour, having a bite wound on her leg stitched up. The operation is nearly over. Vet Femke is just making sure her stitches stay in place.
I'm going to put some super glue on it as well, because monkeys sometimes take their stitches out. And you can't really bandage them either, because they will take the bandage out.
Ordinary superglue is a safe and effective way of binding stitches. And while the team wait for the glue to dry, Jeremy takes the opportunity to insert an identification microchip.
Got so many capuchins now that the keepers have trouble sometimes telling them apart. So at least when they have a microchip, when they are anaesthetized, we can make sure which individual it is.
This is the first time the team has had a chance to give Phoebe a thorough health check since she arrived at the park. And Femke has suddenly discovered something wrong with her teeth.
Look at this one, Jeremy.
Long operations on small monkeys can be a risky business.
Should I remove it now, or shall I leave it? Her canine is badly damaged and infected, so I have to remove it.
Femke decides to take the tooth out now, rather than operating again at a later date. Like all wild animals, the primates are very good at hiding any discomfort. But it looks like Phoebe may have been suffering with this rotten tooth for a long time.
She must have had a bit of pain from this, indeed.
Quite often, tooth decay can be a result of a poor sugary diet. But in this case, Femke suspects there could be another cause.
Yeah, sometimes they knock their tooth and they break it. And then if the root is exposed, it can become infected and cause a nasty tooth infection. It's so badly damaged that it's quite easy to take it out. Because if you take a healthy canine out, it's quite difficult, will take you a long time. But if it's damaged and rotten, then it'll come out easily, as you can see.
The tooth has been removed and Femke is happy that the rest are all healthy. Now it's time for Phoebe to wake up.
Hello, do you think you're going to sleep this out? You can't.
But she's been under anaesthetic for longer than expected and she's not coming round.
Taking your time. Phoebe, it's time now. Come on. Oh, Phoebe.
Eventually, to everyone's relief, she wakes up.
When she's fully awake and able to climb and eat and defend herself, she'll go back in with the others, because we don't want to take her out too long, because she has to meet them again and make friends and be part of the establishing of the hierarchy.
So, animal manager Jeremy returns Phoebe back to the bedrooms, where soon she can have another bash at finding her place in the group. Later, in the chimp nursery, Lulu has fun with the youngsters. And keeper Wendy checks to see if new mum Zoe's getting into the swing of being a parent.
She's a little bit awkward with her movement still. She doesn't quite know where to put knees and elbows and feet and stuff.
It's lunchtime, and in Hananya's chimp group, they're getting hot potatoes. Treats like these are a real favourite, so to make sure that everyone gets their fair share, the keepers scatter them throughout the enclosure. But this doesn't always work. There's a strict hierarchy in chimp society, and it's not long before those at the top get the most. And those at the bottom need to work hard to get any at all. And it's pretty obvious from his haul that alpha male Hananya is right at the top. It's just a shame he's only got 2 hands and 1 mouth. Not long ago, Hananya was hesitant at mealtimes and would often end up with nothing. His group would pinch the goodies from right under the boss's nose. But at last, Hananya is asserting his position at the top of the group. And he's determined to finish this lot quickly so he can go in for seconds. Hot spuds are a really good meal for the chimps as the weather grows colder. But not everyone has been lucky enough to get one, so some loiter with intent, hoping someone might share. But sharing isn't something the chimps do very well. And now Hananya's ready for seconds, he's going to have to beg with the rest of them. And high-ranking Cherry's potato looks good. It looks really good. Really, really good. Clearly too good to share with Hananya, who is reduced to foraging for leftovers with everyone else. It's a shame he hasn't realised that the only reason there aren't any left is because he ate most of them in the first place. Back over at the Gibbon house, it's been 12 hours since Zoe, the golden-cheeked gibbon, gave birth. And she's just decided to venture outside with her new baby for the very first time.
Zoe's doing extremely well, very happy with her. She's a little bit awkward with her movement still. She doesn't quite know where to put knees and elbows and feet and stuff, but she's doing very, very well. Little one's been suckling, seen it on the nipple 3 times, so he's doing... I keep calling it he, we don't know yet. Stop it, it. The little bit is doing really, really well.
This is only the second golden-cheeked gibbon to be born at the park, so Wendy's keeping a close eye on the new parents.
It's difficult to tell whether she's overly protective or hiding the little one. She always used to sit with her arms on her elbows and sort of this grumpy look that Zoe has, that she's famous for. It's quite a good thing. It's keeping baby warm, especially when she's outside. It's a lovely day, but it's a bit blowy. You've only just come out of the womb. It's going to feel a bit nippy. But she's looking after it very well. She's just got to learn how to move with him now. A little unsteady, but very attentive when the baby cries or whatever. She's, oh yes, okay, tends to it. What do I do? I'll sit down. I'm not moving. Something she'll get used to with time.
It's still early days, but Zoe seems to be showing all the signs of becoming a good mother. Over at the chimp nursery, for the first time in a very long time, foster mum Sally is relaxing. With only 3 toddlers to look after, she's never had it so easy. At one time, the nursery was the busiest, loudest and most chaotic place in the park, with a tired Sally looking after all the youngsters. And her second-in-command, Lulu, being teased and harassed by Seamus and his gang, which made Lulu very grumpy. But now its rowdier members have grown up and moved out. And the atmosphere today is completely different. It's given 2.5-year-old Rodders an opportunity to prove that Lulu has a fun side too. Lulu's only got one arm, which doesn't stop her behaving and playing like a normal chimp. But even though things are much calmer now, she still has her grumpy moments. But it seems that Rodders' charms are finally winning her over, and who can blame her? In fact, it looks like she's got quite a soft spot for the little lad. And even though Lulu is 13 years older than Rodders, she shows him she can certainly play with the best of them. Next time on Monkey Life.
Hey, little man.
Woolly monkey Paolo goes in with his new family for the first time.
He's ready to go. He's eating solid food. Look at the size of the belly hanging out there. It's, you know, it's just enormous.
Chimp Eddie has fun and games with her baby brother Bart. And emotions run high when Mad Max the marmoset arrives at the park.
But that's what I'm saying to you.
I don't want to fall out with it. I'm only here for him. You know what I'm saying?